to Justice and the Inner Life, presented by the Christian Alliance for Orphans. We'll explore what it takes to sustain a heart of justice and mercy over a lifetime. Here's your host, Jed Medifin.
Christians never look more like Jesus than when serving our neighbors in need. So it is truly beautiful to see enthusiasm for justice and mercy rising among Christians today, from care for orphans and foster youth to the fight against human trafficking to urban renewal and so much more. The church at her best has always been known for these kinds of things, and at her best she always will. But just about anyone who spent more than a little time serving their neighbors will tell you this: the hurt of our world runs deep. And whether we're engaging poverty or disease or oppression or countless other things, the problems we hope to solve almost always prove more complex and stubborn than we imagined when we set out. So here's the huge question. How do we sustain this work of justice and mercy, not just for a short burst of enthusiasm, but for a lifetime? I think back to when I first got involved with a program to help revitalize inner city neighborhoods in Southern California. I was inspired by the vision my friends and I had for urban renewal. And for a while, it seemed like we were making real progress, like this was going to be a game changer. But just a couple years in, I found myself feeling more and more disappointed by the results. If anything, the hurt around us seemed to be getting worse. My disappointment became disillusionment and even cynicism. I felt angry with the situation, and sometimes even with the people we were trying to help. I even felt angry with myself for feeling angry. And here's the truth. Almost every person I know who is working to meet deep human needs has wrestled with these struggles too. I think of another friend in Romania telling me that the very day his organization held a big celebration for the opening of a new center to serve children, he learned that some boys in one of their children's homes had been molesting other kids. I think of a leader in anti-trafficking efforts describing how so many of the girls they've rescued have returned to the very people who exploit them. Now, certainly, sometimes better strategies can improve outcomes. But no matter how good our strategies, there will always be disappointments and failures and regrets. I've seen many people who started with bright eyes and big hopes feeling crushed by how broken the world really is. Not all have come out the other side. Some have quit. Some became bitter. Some keep serving, but without the passion. And the truth is, I've tasted each of these things myself at times. But I really know that God calls His people to love and serve even when results are far less than we hoped for. He asks us to open ourselves to the world hurt, even to share in it, just as He did. And I know that for myself, when I have moved past my fears and self-focus to do that, the rewards far outweigh the cost. It is really what I want, even when it is really hard. I suspect that if you're listening to this podcast, this is what you really want too. You want to reflect God's love in tangible ways to your neighbor, especially those facing deep struggles. And you don't want to do this just for one little trip or project, but for a lifetime. That's what this Justice and the Inner Life podcast series is all about. Learning from followers of Jesus who've been on this road for a long time, people who have survived and even thrived in long journeys of justice and mercy. Because our goal isn't just to learn what it takes to persevere, as significant as that is. What matters even more is the person we become along the way. We want to grow into people whose very presence looks and feels a lot like the presence of Jesus. We want to live as people whose eyes are lit up with God's love, even in very dark places. We want to become people who keep light hearts, even when the burden is heavy. So let's learn together what it looks like to do that, and how we can remain both steadfast and bright amidst long journeys of justice and mercy.
You've been listening to Justice and the Inner Life with Jed Medifin, a production of the Christian Alliance for Orphans. To learn more about the Alliance, visit cafo.org.